Alright, back again. Today we got the Kix 91 Super Gun, and I figured we could put in this game here. SD Gundam Saiko Salamander. So, let's pop this on and play some of that. This game here is a pretty fun little run-and-gun shooting beat-em-up game. It has some aspects of shooting in it. Music for it's not all that great, but the game itself has some pretty good graphics in certain areas. And there's the intro. That's where the intro music stops. There's a really great game out there. It's another SD Gundam one. It's called SD Gundam Rainbow. If you have a chance, I recommend checking that out. It's fantastic looking. It's great for all you guys out there who are interested in Contra. It's very similar to it. This one really reminds me a lot of Metal Slug for some reason. But when you first get in the game here, put in some credits. It's 1 or 2 player. And like I said, the music to it's not all that great. The sound effects are, you know, they're mediocre. They're not too bad, but not super out there. The game is a little bit challenging because the screen pushes you forward constantly, so you can't move backwards. But let's start this up. I'll show you what I mean. Background's pretty good. At the beginning here you can see 3 stages, but there's actually around 6. Here's our first stage. You have your regular I-beam here. If you get close to the enemies and you're not holding any other weapons, you can use a sword, and your sword will just kind of automatically pop out and slash the enemies, like right there. There are plenty of different upgrades in the game. If you press the jump button twice, you kind of have a hover, which is kind of cool. But you can see the stuff going on in the background, which is pretty awesome. Really like the backgrounds. They really have a nice 3D effect to them. And there are various stages. Some of the stages take place on land, some of them take place in space, some underwater. But it seems a little bit of a slow pace at the beginning, but eventually gets more and more packed with enemies. It gets pretty hectic at some times. But trying to avoid shots can be quite difficult. And there are a multitude of different weapon upgrades you can get, shields and things like that. Here's a machine gun. And when you have your machine gun, you can't use your sword, unfortunately. But there's other different variations of machine guns that you can get. Might be a little bit of flickering going on. That's just the, let's see. I'm trying to adjust the cable here in the back. That's probably not the best idea. Yeah, that might just be the cable here. Trying to sync with these LED TVs is a little bit challenging for this game. But the SD Gundam Rainbow is a really sharp-looking game, and it really does look a lot like Contra, plays a lot like Contra, or even some of the Gunforce games. Here's a shield that you can get. Here's a health power up here. And here's our first bosses. Nothing super spectacular. You can see the shield's a little bit beaten up, but it's kind of the end of the first stage right there. And here, during the intermissions or between levels, it'll allow you to choose, kind of like a slot machine, different weapons. Okay, so I got some health here. Moving on to our second stage. I believe this is an underwater stage. Yeah. But really reminds me, like I said, a lot of Metal Slug. You can't turn around under the water, unfortunately. You're just, you know, you're kind of stuck in this forward position. And you gotta watch out for enemies coming out behind you. I'm trying to look through the viewfinder here again. Woo! I'm getting smoked. But the submarines in this stage, you know, remind me of In the Hunt or Metal Slug for sure. Dying left and right. Here's another weapon. When you die too, you get kind of a random weapon here. And here's kind of like a mid-stage boss. Some weapons are pretty easy to use. This one's a bit slow and a bit challenging to use because you got a really limited amount of fire that you can use with it, but a very, very challenging game, you know, it just kind of jumps into serious madness here. And you can see the submarines coming up behind you. Difficult to control to some extent. And one thing you have to be very careful about is the continue screen. That's really, really a dangerous thing, because with the continue screen, if you accidentally press the button too quickly, it will automatically end the game. So it almost like skips over all of the countdown. It just goes straight to end game, which is really, really bad. I did it the first time that I decided to play this thing. I was like trying to get the thing to start back up again, and I was trying to continue, and then sure enough, it wound up going game over, and I thought, what the heck? I just pressed the button a couple of times, but that was enough just to end the game. But the most difficult part is, like I said, the screen kind of moves you forward. You really don't have a lot of opportunity to move backwards or anything like that. You're just constantly being pushed forward. And yeah, the enemies are just coming at you from every angle. When you're on the ground, it's a little bit easier to move back and forth, but when you're underwater, it's just almost impossible. So, okay, I got some points. are some parts where certain weapons will help you out a lot, and then other parts where certain weapons will really hurt you. Like, this weapon's pretty good to have, especially to destroy these mines on the ground, but if you just have a regular straight shooting, a forward shooting weapon, it can be really, really tricky. And there's not a whole lot for reaction time in this game. Once the enemies start shooting at you, you really don't have much of a chance to jump out of the way. You just keep getting hit. But overall, it's a pretty fun, you know, little go along and cause some mass destruction, Metal Slug-ish kind of game. You can see in the background there, a little robot goes and destroys everyone. There's a shield. This is where having some sort of like sidearm or like grenade or something would be really useful, but unfortunately there isn't anything like that. And you really got to rely on these little health bubbles to come along every once in a while. Watch out in some spaces because the enemies will jump out like that last one and they'll push you right off the edge and you'll instantly die. Alright, what do we got now? Okay, we got the ball and chain again here. We're coming up here on our next boss. Yeah, the screen is flickering a little bit. That's due to the sync. Alright, here's our second boss here, which is really difficult with that last weapon I had. And unfortunately, you keep getting hit, especially if you're just standing next to him. There's no flashing or anything like that. Start it again. But if you press the jump button too many times, if you press it too quickly, you don't have that high jump option. So I'm just getting smoked here. Up. There's our boss completed. Not very pretty by any means, but I'm not going to play through the whole game here. I think the screen flickering will kind of get out of control a little bit, but just wanted to show you a little bit of what SD Gundam Saiko Salamander looked like here for the arcade. And yeah, it's not a bad game by any means. It's a little bit challenging for sure, but that's about all for me for right now. Like always, I'll put up another video here soon, so thanks for watching.